Amid growing public concern and regulatory scrutiny, electronic cigarettes, often touted as a safer alternative to traditional smoking, are facing an increasingly contentious debate over their health implications. As more countries impose restrictions on vaping products, the question remains, how harmful are electronic cigarettes really? Recent legislative moves in Europe illustrate the escalating efforts to control vaping. Belgium set the tone by banning the sale of disposable vapes on January 1, 2025, followed by France on February 24. Other nations including England, Scotland, Wales and New Zealand are contemplating similar measures. New Zealand's law, which takes effect on June 17, 2025, not only restricts disposable vapes but also bars retailers from discussing vaping products with existing customers. This trend is not limited to Europe. Over 30 countries including Brazil, India and Turkey have implemented outright bans on all vaping products. Critics of these bans argue that such measures may be overly restrictive and could drive smokers back to traditional tobacco products. While it's crucial to safeguard public health, outright bans could lead to unintended consequences, notes a public health expert who prefers to remain anonymous. It is essential to consider the potential benefits of vaping as a smoking cessation tool. The scientific community remains divided on the health risks associated with vaping. While some studies suggest that electronic cigarettes carry fewer risks than traditional cigarettes, others warn of their potential long-term effects. According to a report from the Royal College of Physicians, vaping is significantly less harmful than smoking combustible tobacco, but it is not without its dangers. The report emphasizes that nicotine addiction and exposure to harmful substances in e-liquids can still pose serious health risks, particularly to young users. Moreover, the rise of vaping has raised concerns about its appeal to children and adolescents. Data from the National Institute on Drug Abuse reveals a troubling trend. The use of e-cigarettes among high school students has surged, with nearly 20% reporting use in the previous month. This has prompted public health advocates to push for stricter regulations to protect youth from nicotine addiction. The political landscape surrounding vaping is also complex. In the United States, the Food and Drug Administration (FDA) has begun to crack down on flavored e-cigarettes, which critics argue are designed to attract younger users. We're witnessing a significant public health crisis that demands a coordinated response, says a spokesperson from a leading anti-smoking organization. Regulators must act decisively to prevent a new generation from becoming addicted to nicotine. As vaping continues to evolve, so too will the regulatory frameworks aimed at overseeing its use. The debate surrounding electronic cigarettes will likely intensify, influenced by ongoing research and public sentiment. With health organizations calling for more comprehensive studies and policymakers grappling with the implications of vaping, the future landscape of e-cigarette regulation remains uncertain. In conclusion, while electronic cigarettes may provide a less harmful alternative for adult smokers looking to quit, the associated risks and the increasing popularity among youth present a challenging dilemma for public health officials. As more research emerges, it will be crucial for regulators to strike a balance that protects public health while recognizing the potential role vaping can play in reducing smoking rates. Moving forward, the conversation surrounding e-cigarettes will need to evolve, reflecting the growing body of evidence and the complexities of consumer behavior in the face of changing regulations. In an increasingly interconnected world, the ability to communicate across linguistic borders has become more than just a valuable skill, it is essential for fostering understanding and connection between diverse cultures. Doug Brower's recent reflections on his journey of language learning reveal not just the personal challenges of mastering a new tongue but also the profound implications of language as a bridge to hospitality and empathy. His experiences, detailed in the Reformed Journal, offer insight into the transformative power of language in our global society. Brower's journey began in high school, with Latin a choice driven less by practicality and more by the allure of its perceived prestige. Although he soon abandoned language studies after fulfilling his college requirements, life later led him to Switzerland, where he found himself once again navigating the complexities of language, this time German. His initial apprehension was palpable, as he acknowledged that mastering a new language is often more difficult as an adult. "If I had wanted to become a fluent German speaker, I should have started before I was 10 years old," he reflected, highlighting the critical period for language acquisition. During his first year in a Swiss village, Brouwer enrolled in language classes and participated in conversational groups with fellow expatriates. These interactions not only provided him with a platform to practice his skills but also highlighted a significant difference in the language learning experiences of children and adults. "Children learn language more quickly because they aren't afraid to make mistakes," he noted, contrasting this with the self-consciousness often felt by adults. This environment of shared vulnerability among expats fostered a sense of community and encouragement. Brouwer's immersion in German extended beyond the classroom. He engaged with the language daily through newspapers, podcasts, and social interactions. However, he quickly realized that while language apps like Duolingo and Babbel could serve as useful tools, they were no substitute for genuine immersion. He recounted instances in grocery stores where clerks would switch to English upon recognizing his struggle with German, a common occurrence that left him feeling helpless yet reinforced the importance of seeking assistance. "Asking for help when traveling to other parts of the world is mostly a good thing," he concluded, recognizing that such moments can cultivate humility and openness. Reflecting on his experiences in Europe, Brouwer pointed out the linguistic versatility of many Europeans, particularly the younger generation who often speak multiple languages. He contrasted this with the American tendency to expect others to communicate in English, a reality that can create barriers to deeper connections. He emphasized the necessity for Americans to shift their perspective and embrace the opportunity to learn from others, as articulated by Henri Nouwen in his exploration of the spiritual life. Nouwen suggests that genuine interactions require moving beyond fear and defensiveness, ultimately paving the way for hospitality and understanding. Brouwer's insights resonate deeply within the context of cultural exchange and the importance of empathy in our interactions with others. He drew upon the work of David I. Smith, who argues that language learning is integral to the practice of hospitality, shifting the focus from mastery to encounter. This perspective underscores that understanding and connecting with others is more crucial than simply imparting one's own knowledge. An especially poignant moment in Brouwer's narrative occurred during a Pentecost service in his church, where he orchestrated a multilingual invocation of the Holy Spirit, inviting members of the congregation to contribute in their native languages. This spontaneous expression of diversity not only celebrated the rich tapestry of cultures present but also served as a reminder of the beauty found in linguistic variety. His experience culminated in an unexpected and heartfelt conclusion when a local Swiss man offered the final invocation in Swiss German, a touching representation of hospitality that Brouwer initially overlooked. As Brouwer's reflections indicate, language learning is not merely an academic endeavor, it is a profound journey that can lead to deeper connections and mutual understanding among people from different backgrounds. The movement from hostility to hospitality, as he eloquently describes, requires a willingness to engage with the unfamiliar and to embrace the richness that comes with cultural diversity. As we look to the future, it is clear that fostering these connections through language will be vital in bridging divides and nurturing a more inclusive global community. In recent years, omega-3 fatty acids have emerged as a cornerstone of nutritional discourse, celebrated for their myriad health benefits. Essential for well-being, these healthy fats can reduce inflammation, lower blood pressure, and even mitigate the risks of cardiovascular diseases and strokes. Despite their known advantages, a growing body of research raises questions about the efficacy of omega-3 supplements, particularly fish oil, which has become a staple in many households. A significant concern is that while dietary sources of omega-3s primarily found in fatty fish like salmon and mackerel confer substantial health benefits, the same cannot be universally said for supplements. According to a report from National Geographic, approximately 95% of children and 68% of adults fail to meet the recommended intake of omega-3s, prompting many, especially those over 60, to turn to fish oil supplements. The global market for these products has escalated to an impressive $8.3 billion, reflecting an increasing consumer reliance on supplements to bridge nutritional gaps. Dr. Daniel Monti, a physician at Thomas Jefferson University, explains that omega-3s operate through various mechanisms to improve health, particularly by reducing inflammation and enhancing blood flow. Yet he emphasizes that the most effective way to consume omega-3s is through whole foods rather than supplements. This sentiment is echoed by Dr. Joanne Manson from Harvard Medical School, who advocates for obtaining omega-3s from natural food sources, noting that whole foods provide a broader nutrient profile. The skepticism surrounding omega-3 supplements, particularly fish oil, is compounded by recent studies indicating that their purported cardiovascular benefits may not hold up under rigorous scrutiny. Stephen Neeson, Chief Academic Officer at the Cleveland Clinic Heart Vascular and Thoracic Institute, points out that many earlier studies that fueled the fish oil craze were observational and lacked the rigor of randomized controlled trials. These subsequent trials have largely shown no statistical benefit from fish oil supplementation for cardiovascular health in healthy individuals. Moreover, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration (FDA) approved a qualified health claim for fish oil over 2 decades ago based on limited evidence. Since then, new studies have emerged that challenge the validity of these claims, highlighting the need for a re-evaluation by the FDA. Anne-Marie Navarre, a cardiologist at UT Southwestern Medical Center, notes that while some individuals with specific cardiovascular conditions may benefit from fish oil, the risks associated with supplementation, such as increased stroke risk and arrhythmias, cannot be overlooked. In fact, a 2024 study published in BMJ Medicine identified a concerning link between fish oil consumption and elevated risks of stroke and atrial fibrillation in individuals without heart disease. Such findings suggest that while omega-3s are vital for health, the narrative around their supplementation needs to be approached with caution. The fish oil supplement landscape is further complicated by regulatory gaps. Unlike pharmaceuticals, dietary supplements face less stringent oversight from the FDA, leading to concerns over product quality and safety. Reports reveal that some fish oil products may contain harmful contaminants or heavy metals, and a disturbing percentage have tested positive for rancidity, undermining their health benefits. Given these complexities, experts recommend that individuals, especially those considering supplements, consult healthcare professionals. Dr. Alice Lichtenstein from Tufts University advises consumers to look for independently certified supplements and to be mindful of storage practices to prevent oxidative damage. As the conversation surrounding omega-3s continues to evolve, it becomes increasingly clear that whole food sources should remain the primary means of obtaining these essential fatty acids. While supplements may play a role for some individuals, particularly those with dietary restrictions or specific health conditions, the emphasis should be on a balanced diet rich in omega-3 rich foods. In conclusion, as research continues to unfold, consumers are encouraged to remain informed and cautious. The landscape of omega-3 supplementation is shifting, and it is imperative to prioritize dietary sources over unregulated supplements for optimal health benefits. Looking ahead, the focus will likely remain on refining our understanding of omega-3s and their role in human health, emphasizing the importance of a holistic approach to nutrition. In recent weeks, the volatility of egg prices has captured national attention, particularly as the poultry industry navigates the aftermath of bird flu outbreaks and evolving market dynamics. President Donald Trump recently highlighted what he described as a significant drop in egg prices, drawing attention to a trend that is gradually unfolding across grocery stores. However, consumers may still feel the pinch of high prices as the market adjusts. According to the latest weekly egg markets overview report released by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA wholesale egg prices have fallen to $3.27 per dozen, though this decline has been noted at a slower rate compared to previous weeks. The report indicates that consumers are starting to see some relief in prices and an improvement in availability. Yet the journey to affordable eggs is still fraught with challenges.
Wholesale prices for graded loose eggs continued on a sharp downward trajectory as no significant outbreaks of highly pathogenic avian influenza were reported yet in March, the USDA stated.
Despite the recent decrease, egg prices had surged over 10% from January to February, driven by persistent bird flu impacts that continue to disrupt supply chains. The USDA had previously warned that these high prices could remain volatile, with a forecast indicating a 41.1% increase in egg prices for 2025, exacerbated by the ongoing challenges posed by avian influenza. At the peak in February, the wholesale cost for a dozen eggs exceeded $8, marking a stark contrast to the average price of just $2.04 in August 2023.
Agriculture's Secretary Brooke Rollins expressed cautious optimism regarding the recent price drops. Appearing on News Nation, she noted they may go back up a little bit.
But hopefully now we're in a good spot, referencing the impending Easter holiday, which she referred to as the Egg Super Bowl. This sentiment was echoed by Jeremy Horpetal, an economics professor at the University of Central Arkansas, who cautioned that consumers might not feel the effects of lower wholesale prices immediately. Stores will continue to sell the eggs they have until their shelf life is complete, he explained. The bird flu responsible for the culling of millions of egg-laying hens has been a critical factor in the price fluctuations. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention (CDC) reported that since January 2022 the virus has led to significant poultry outbreaks across numerous states, impacting over 30 million birds this year alone. The continuing nature of this outbreak raises concerns not only about future egg prices but also about the broader implications for food supply stability.
The political landscape has also been influenced by these rising prices.
Trump's assertions of falling prices come amid scrutiny from Democrats who argue that the administration has yet to deliver on promises to lower food costs. The investigation launched by the Justice Department into potential price fixing among egg producers further complicates the narrative, with reports suggesting that some companies may be manipulating supply to maintain high prices.
As the market for eggs becomes increasingly intertwined with broader agricultural policies and public health issues, consumers are left in a precarious position.
While the promise of lower prices is on the horizon, the path forward remains uncertain.
As we approach the next Consumer Price Index report expected on April 10,
all eyes will be on how the dynamics of egg pricing evolve and whether consumers can finally enjoy some relief at the checkout line. The unfolding developments in this sector will undoubtedly continue to shape conversations around food security, economic policy, and consumer rights in the months to come. As tensions rise between Europe and the United States, particularly under the shadow of former President Donald Trump's administration, European regulators have taken a bold stance in enforcing digital antitrust rules against major
American tech giants Apple and Alphabet.
This decision reflects not only a commitment to digital market fairness but also signals a shift towards greater European digital sovereignty amid increasing geopolitical friction.
On March 21, 2025, the European Commission announced preliminary findings indicating that both Google and Apple have breached the bloc's Digital Markets Act (DMA). This legislation aims to prevent large tech firms from exploiting their dominant market positions to the detriment of competitors. Specifically, Alphabet is accused of manipulating its search engine to funnel users towards its own services, while Apple has faced criticism for making it difficult for connected devices to sync with its iOS operating system. These findings have drawn ire from the Trump administration, which has labeled the DMA as a discriminatory tax on American companies, threatening retaliation through proposed tariffs. In a bid to de-escalate the situation, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has postponed any retaliatory measures until mid-April, seeking a diplomatic resolution. However, she remains resolute in pursuing action against the tech giants, indicative of a broader strategy to reduce reliance on American technology. We must ensure that European companies can compete fairly and that consumers are protected from unfair practices, von der Leyen stated, emphasizing the urgency of the EU's digital policy objectives. The implications of this confrontation are significant for both sides.
For Europe, the challenge lies in developing homegrown tech alternatives to counter the dominance of Silicon Valley firms. On the other hand, US companies could face restricted access to one of the world's largest markets, which could significantly impact their revenue streams and operational strategies. This precarious balance reflects a new chapter in transatlantic relations where both sides are grappling with the consequences of their actions. Despite the heated rhetoric, a full-blown tech war is not yet a certainty. The recent findings against Apple and Google are preliminary, allowing the companies to respond and potentially resolve issues before any fines are levied. In a blog post, Google argued that the DMA could hurt consumers, citing examples such as changes in flight search results that redirect users to more expensive options. Apple has similarly criticized the interoperability requirements, suggesting that they could compromise user privacy and security, particularly in the context of competition with Meta Platforms Inc. The tech sector is not just a battleground for regulatory compliance, it is also a crucible for collaboration among US companies. Notably, Google, Meta, and Qualcomm have formed the Coalition for Open Digital Ecosystem to challenge Apple's closed ecosystem, which they argue limits the performance of third-party devices on its platform. This coalition highlights the internal conflicts among American tech giants as they navigate a landscape shaped by European regulations. However, the effectiveness of these initiatives remains uncertain. While European regulators may push for increased transparency from Apple, the company can still cite security and privacy concerns as reasons to deny requests for interoperability. This ongoing tussle raises questions about how robustly Europe can enforce its digital policies without alienating its American counterparts. The broader implications of this regulatory push are intertwined with existing geopolitical challenges, including trade disputes, climate change, and defense spending, all exacerbated by the ongoing war in Ukraine. Under President Biden's leadership, the U.S. has initiated antitrust proceedings against both Apple and Google, suggesting a shared concern over the power of these tech giants. Nevertheless, the Trump administration's aggressive posture could threaten to unravel transatlantic cooperation, as both sides must weigh the risks of isolation against the benefits of collaboration. Looking ahead, the prospect of a definitive split between the US and Europe in the tech sector appears grim. The intertwined nature of their economies and the imperative to lead in emerging technologies like artificial intelligence and cloud computing necessitate a cooperative approach. As Europe strives for digital independence, it must also recognize the potential pitfalls of alienating American firms that are crucial for its technological advancement. Ultimately, both regions share a foundational interest in ensuring that their tech ecosystems remain competitive and secure on the world stage, suggesting that a path to cooperation rather than conflict remains possible. In a world increasingly shaped by public health challenges and the rapid evolution of technology, recent developments from the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health reveal pressing issues deserving of our attention. As the institution continues to serve as a trusted source for public health expertise, it shines a light on the complex interplay between societal issues and health outcomes. Recent studies underscore the stark realities faced by communities across the United States, particularly in the wake of significant policy changes regarding reproductive health and public safety. One sobering revelation comes from the ongoing fallout after the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. New studies highlight the disproportionate impacts of abortion bans, indicating that while some states have reported increases in live births, they have also seen a concerning rise in infant mortality rates. These bans have not only restricted access to essential healthcare but have compounded the risks faced by vulnerable populations, a spokesperson from the Bloomberg School noted. This underscores a troubling trend. Public policy decisions can have far-reaching consequences on health outcomes, particularly among marginalized groups. In another alarming public health concern, the resurgence of measles outbreaks in the U.S. has prompted health experts to advocate for vaccination. The Bloomberg School's resources emphasize the vital role that primary care physicians play in building trust with patients to promote vaccination. As we see an increase in vaccine-preventable diseases, it becomes crucial for healthcare providers to re-engage with their communities around the importance of vaccinations, said Anna Durbin, an expert on infectious diseases at Johns Hopkins. The school has also made strides in addressing global health challenges, with recent discoveries in the fight against malaria shedding light on new potential treatment strategies. Researchers at the Bloomberg School have identified a molecular mechanism in mosquitoes that could pave the way for innovative anti-malarial interventions. This research not only holds promise for tackling malaria but also exemplifies the institution's commitment to addressing global health disparities.
Moreover, the link between mental health and technology has gained renewed focus.
A study highlighted by the Bloomberg School found that wealthier patients are more likely to utilize telehealth services for mental health care. This disparity raises questions about access and equity in mental health treatment, particularly for those in lower income brackets who may lack the same resources. In the realm of public safety, research conducted at the Bloomberg School suggests that firearm purchaser licensing laws could significantly reduce gun violence. A recent report recommends that states adopt comprehensive licensing laws to address this public health crisis. Implementing these laws could be a pivotal step in safeguarding our communities, said a representative from the school's Center for Gun Violence Solutions. As these studies highlight, the intersection of policy, technology, and public health is increasingly complex. The ongoing discourse around social media's role in public health crises,
particularly regarding youth, has sparked significant concern.
A forthcoming Bloomberg documentary, Can't Look Away: The Case Against Social Media, examines the alarming relationship between social media platforms and the rise in drug-related deaths among teenagers. Co-director Perry Peltz emphasizes that this is a public health crisis.
We're facing a mental health emergency. It is tied in many ways to social media.
With the documentary set to premiere soon, it promises to amplify the call for accountability among tech giants and greater regulatory oversight. Finally, the economic landscape remains precarious for major corporations, with Nike recently projecting further sales declines as it navigates a challenging market environment. The company attributes its struggles to ongoing inventory clearances and external economic pressures, including tariffs and a sluggish consumer market in China.
As Nike works to implement a turnaround strategy, CEO Elliott Hill expressed optimism about new product launches that could reinvigorate sales.
In conclusion, the convergence of public health, technology, and economic challenges paints a complex picture of our current landscape. The Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health continues to be at the forefront of research and advocacy, driving home the importance of informed policy decisions and community engagement. As we look to the future, it is clear that addressing these multifaceted issues will require innovative thinking, collaboration, and a commitment to equity in health and safety for all. In an era where renewable energy solutions are urgently sought, a groundbreaking idea has emerged that posits the potential of harnessing Earth's rotational energy as a power source. This audacious concept, debated among physicists, could revolutionize our approach to generating emission-free electricity. The implications are vast. Yet the scientific community remains divided over its feasibility. Researchers recently revealed findings suggesting that a specially designed device could generate a minuscule electric current by interacting with Earth's magnetic field as the planet rotates. This claim, introduced by a team led by physicist Christopher Chiba from Princeton University, was presented at a meeting of the American Physical Society in Anaheim, California, and detailed in the journal Physical Review Research. The device reportedly produced a voltage of 17 microvolts, a value so small that it raises questions about the validity of the results. Paul Thomas, an emeritus physicist from the University of Wisconsin, Eau Claire, expressed cautious optimism about the findings. The idea is somewhat counterintuitive and has been argued since Faraday, he noted, emphasizing the careful execution of the experiments. However, skepticism persists. Rinke Wijngaarden, a retired physicist from the Free University of Amsterdam, is among those who remain doubtful. Having previously investigated similar phenomena without success, he stated, I find the work very interesting, but I'm still convinced that the theory cannot be correct. Understanding the mechanics behind this concept reveals a fascinating intersection of physics and energy generation. Theoretically, the device operates akin to an electrical power station where movement through a magnetic field induces electron flow, creating a current. However, Earth's uniform magnetic field typically prevents such a current from forming, as any induced movement of electrons results in their reconfiguration to counteract the external force. Chiba and his colleagues propose a workaround, using materials with unique properties shaped into a hollow cylindrical form to create a new configuration of the magnetic field that could allow for current generation. To validate their hypothesis, the team constructed a hollow cylinder from a soft magnetic material composed of manganese zinc
and iron.
The results, while confirming their predictions of a small voltage dependent on the device's orientation, have been met with calls for further verification. Wijngaarden highlighted the necessity for tests at various latitudes to substantiate the findings, indicating that the path to acceptance in the scientific community will require rigorous evidence. If the device's efficacy can be confirmed and scaled, it could offer a novel means of generating energy in remote locations without emissions, a tantalizing prospect for both environmental and practical applications. However, it's essential to note that deploying such technology would not be without consequences. The authors calculated that if this method were to meet all of Earth's electricity demands, around 11 trillion watts as of 2022, it would gradually slow the planet's rotation by approximately 7 milliseconds over the next century. A change akin to that caused by natural phenomena like the Moon's gravitational influence. As the scientific discourse unfolds around this theory, it underscores the broader quest for sustainable energy solutions. The skepticism surrounding the initial results highlights the challenges inherent in pioneering new technologies. Nonetheless, should further research validate these claims, the potential for a new eco-friendly energy source could be on the horizon, marking a significant step forward in our ongoing battle against climate change and energy shortages. In conclusion, while the notion of harnessing Earth's rotation for power generation is still in its infancy, the excitement it generates within the scientific community reflects a growing desire to explore innovative solutions for our energy needs. Future studies will be crucial in determining whether this concept can transition from theoretical debate to practical application. In a significant development for the treatment of insulinoma-induced hypoglycemia. A recent case report published in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition documents the successful use of modified cornstarch as a dietary intervention. This innovative approach not only highlights the potential of dietary management in complex medical conditions but also emphasizes the importance of individualized treatment strategies. The case involved a 90-year-old male patient who was admitted to the hospital due to recurrent symptomatic hypoglycemia. After extensive evaluations that ruled out common outpatient causes, the medical team confirmed endogenous hyperinsulinism. An abdominal computed tomography CT scan revealed a 15 mm solid nodular lesion in the pancreatic tail, leading to a diagnosis of insulinoma, a rare tumor of the pancreas that secretes excessive insulin. Given the patient's advanced age and overall health status, a multidisciplinary committee determined that he was unfit for surgical intervention. Initial treatment commenced with diazoxide, a medication used to inhibit insulin release. However, as the dosage increased, the patient experienced side effects, necessitating a shift in strategy. Recognizing the limitations of pharmacological treatment, the medical team pivoted towards a dietary approach. The introduction of modified cornstarch, commercially known as glyphosate, administered in fractionated doses and monitored through continuous glucose monitoring, proved to be a game-changer. This dietary modification allowed for a significant reduction in the diazoxide dosage while effectively preventing further hypoglycemic episodes. The success of this intervention led the patient and his family to prioritize dietary management over other minimally invasive treatments, emphasizing a preference for non-invasive strategies whenever possible. Dr. Karen Castillo, one of the authors of the study, stated, The incorporation of modified cornstarch into the patient's diet not only alleviated the symptoms of hypoglycemia but also minimized the side effects associated with higher doses of medication. This case underscores the growing recognition of dietary interventions as viable adjuncts to pharmacological treatments in managing complex endocrine disorders. The implications of this case extend beyond individual patient care. As healthcare systems worldwide grapple with the rising prevalence of insulinoma and other metabolic disorders, the findings advocate for a more integrative approach that combines pharmacology with nutrition. The success of modified cornstarch in this context may pave the way for further research and exploration into dietary therapies for other endocrine conditions. In conclusion, this case report presents a compelling narrative of how dietary strategies can complement traditional medical treatments, particularly in elderly patients with complex health profiles. As the field of endocrinology continues to evolve, the need for innovative, patient-centered approaches will be paramount. Future research will undoubtedly explore the broader applications of dietary interventions, potentially transforming the landscape of treatment for insulinoma and similar conditions. In a world where the lines between professional expertise and personal passion are increasingly blurred, the story of Dave Baldwin stands out as a compelling testament to the power of reinvention. A former Major League Baseball pitcher turned geneticist, systems engineer, poet, and painter, Baldwin's journey reflects not only the richness of human experience but also the transformative potential of pursuing one's passions. Baldwin, now a resident of Yachits, Oregon, embodies the spirit of a Renaissance man. With a career that began on the baseball diamond, he spent 16 years pitching for teams like the Washington Senators and the Chicago White Sox before turning to academia, earning a PhD in ecological genetics from the University of Arizona. He then transitioned to a career in systems engineering, where he contributed to high-stakes projects for the U.S. Department of Defense. Yet the call to art proved irresistible. "I'd rather do art," he recalls when asked about his career change, a decision that led him to become an accomplished painter whose work is celebrated in various esteemed venues, including the National Baseball Hall of Fame Museum. Baldwin's artistic endeavors are not merely a hobby, they are an exploration of identity and community. His upcoming exhibition, part of the Little Art Museums of Yachits project, showcases his vividly colored abstract works alongside those of fellow artists Debbie Aiken and Victoria Kwasinski. This initiative, supported by a grant from the Oregon Community Foundation, aims to highlight the cultural significance of art in rural communities and promote Yachits as a burgeoning arts hub. Meredith Howell, Secretary of Polyplum Productions, emphasizes the project's dual purpose: bolstering tourism and fostering a sense of community. The significance of Baldwin's contributions goes beyond aesthetics. Through art, he engages with the natural beauty of Yachits, drawing inspiration from its ocean views and forest landscapes. Yachits provides an artist with numerous natural beauties, he notes, emphasizing the influence of the local arts community on his work. Baldwin's commitment to continuous learning and collaboration within the Yachits Arts Guild exemplifies his belief that art thrives in a community context, fostering both personal growth and collective engagement. As Baldwin reflects on the role of art in the local economy, he highlights the reciprocal relationship between tourism and the arts. Visitors who purchase artwork create lasting connections to their experiences in Yachits, often returning with their families. When people buy art, they see it every day, reminding them of the fun they had in Yachits, he explains. This not only supports local artists but also enhances the cultural fabric of the community. Looking ahead, Baldwin's story serves as an inspiration for others contemplating their own paths. At 87, he remains actively engaged in the arts, continually exploring new ideas and forms. "I create art because it is fun to explore the psychological effects of form, color, and pictorial content," he shares, revealing his intrinsic motivation to connect with viewers on a deeper level. In a world that often prioritizes specialization, Baldwin's multifaceted approach to life and art reminds us of the value of curiosity and the importance of following one's passions, no matter how varied they may be. As the little art museums of Yachet's project unfolds, it will undoubtedly continue to showcase the talents of artists like Baldwin, enriching the community and inspiring future generations to embrace their own creative journeys. In a world increasingly defined by shifting geopolitical alliances, the Middle East finds itself navigating a complex landscape shaped by the foreign policies of major powers, particularly under the leadership of Donald Trump. As the former president dismantles the traditional US-led international order, his vision of a tripolar world dominated by the United States, China, and Russia poses significant implications for the already volatile region. Yet even as this new paradigm emerges, the promise of peace and stability remains uncertain. Alastair Newton, writing for Global Policy Journal, draws parallels between the current geopolitical climate and the dystopian world of George Orwell's 1984, where nations are divided into superstates. While the degree of similarity is debatable, the consequences of Trump's foreign policy choices are becoming clearer. As noted by Stephen Wolfe in The Conversation, what is not clear is whether Trump's vision of an ultimately more stable international order with clearly defined spheres of influence for the great powers will emerge, let alone whether such an outcome would be desirable. Trump's administration has garnered attention for its apparent preference for strongman leaders, including China's Xi Jinping, Russia's Vladimir Putin, and Turkey's Recep Tayyip Erdogan, as well as Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. This admiration for authoritarian figures raises questions about the implications for regional stability. Despite the significance of these relationships, Trump's public statements have largely overlooked the Middle East, focusing instead on economic goals such as bolstering oil production through OPEC+ and attracting investment from Gulf states. Ironically, this lack of engagement may be a double-edged sword. While Middle Eastern countries may welcome a respite from U.S. tariffs and the burdens of American foreign policy, the absence of proactive U.S. leadership could lead to a dangerous vacuum. With the U.S. seemingly turning its attention to the Western Hemisphere, analysts like Gideon Rachman of the Financial Times warn that this shift could allow Russia and China to expand their influence in critical areas, including the Indo-Pacific region, which has become vital to global economic dynamics. Within this context, Israel remains a focal point of U.S. foreign policy. Trump's administration has signaled unwavering support for Israel, particularly in its ongoing conflicts with Hamas and Iran. Recent military actions such as strikes against Gaza and Houthi positions underscore a commitment to maintaining a strategic partnership with Israel, even as U.S. diplomatic efforts with Hamas appear contradictory. This dual approach indicates a potential strategy aimed at reassuring both domestic and international audiences, particularly evangelical voters who support Trump's Israel-centric policies. However, the potential for a stable international order in the Middle East is complicated by the region's inherent complexities. Trump is not the first U.S. president to advocate for a reduction in American military involvement. Yet, unlike Barack Obama's strategic pivot to Asia, Trump's approach risks ceding influence to adversaries like China and Russia. The Belt and Road Initiative, for instance, highlights China's ambition to deepen its ties with Middle Eastern states, positioning itself as a key player in the region's energy dynamics. As countries in the Middle East grapple with these shifting allegiances, the question remains whether a new multipolar order will emerge. One that allows for power sharing among regional players such as Israel, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Iran. Despite the potential for competing spheres of influence, there is no guarantee that this will lead to the stability that is desperately needed. Observers like Sam Raghaveen of the Lowy Institute emphasize that while the decline of U.S. dominance might create openings for regional powers, it does not assure the rise of a new hegemon, thus raising concerns about the future of peace in the area. In conclusion, as Donald Trump's vision for a tripolar world unfolds, the Middle East stands at a crossroads, facing both opportunities and challenges. The implications of U.S. withdrawal and the rise of new powers could reshape the regional landscape. But whether this transformation will yield lasting peace or exacerbate existing conflicts remains to be seen. The coming years will be crucial as nations navigate their roles within this evolving geopolitical framework and seek to maintain stability amidst uncertainty. The future of the Middle East hinges not only on the actions of great powers but also on the resilience and adaptability of its regional actors. In a groundbreaking study that merges environmental design with health science, researchers in China have discovered that classrooms decorated to mimic woodland environments can significantly slow the progression of myopia or nearsightedness in children. This innovative approach seeks to combat a growing public health concern linked to modern lifestyles where children spend more time indoors, often engaged with screens, leading to an increase in vision problems. Myopia typically develops in early childhood, resulting from changes in the shape of the eye during normal growth, which causes distant objects to appear blurry. The traditional wisdom has suggested that increased outdoor time can help mitigate this condition. However, for many urban children, outdoor access remains limited due to safety concerns, busy schedules, or other barriers. The research conducted in Lijian, Yunnan Province suggests that simulating outdoor environments within classrooms could serve as an effective alternative. "We are excited by the results of this study," said lead researcher Wei Zhonglan from the AIER Academy of Ophthalmology, Central South University. Creating a stimulating classroom environment that resembles nature could be a simple yet powerful intervention to address myopia, especially in areas where outdoor activity is restricted. The findings are timely, as the World Health Organization projects that nearly half of the global population may be myopic by 2050 if current trends continue. The implications of this research extend beyond individual health. They highlight the urgent need for educational institutions to rethink classroom designs as a means of fostering not only learning but also physical well-being. In a different realm of scientific inquiry, engineers at the University of Texas at Dallas have made significant advancements in heat transfer technologies. Their research found that newly designed surfaces can collect and remove condensates more efficiently than previously predicted by established physics models. This breakthrough emerged from experiments aimed at enhancing the efficiency of surfaces used for harvesting water from the air, a technology that holds promise for addressing water scarcity issues globally. Dr. Xianming Simon Dai, who led the study, noted the importance of their findings in the context of innovative surface engineering. "Our new theory explains how these surfaces can handle condensation processes more effectively, potentially leading to applications that require less energy and resources," he stated. The research team identified that the classical models failed to account for the rapid movement of tiny droplets on their specially designed surfaces, prompting them to develop a new theoretical framework that incorporates the dynamics of droplet movement. The implications of this work are extensive, as efficient water harvesting technologies could serve as vital resources in arid regions, transforming how communities access clean water. The team's findings were recently presented and awarded at a prominent mechanical engineering conference, further underscoring the relevance of their research in today's technological landscape. Meanwhile, in a fascinating exploration of avian biology, a study published in Smithsonian Magazine has revealed that budgerigars possess brain structures akin to those responsible for human speech. This discovery could provide insights into the evolutionary origins of language. Researchers discovered that the brain regions in these birds, which are capable of complex vocalizations, share similarities with those found in humans, suggesting that the neural architecture for language may not be as unique to humans as previously thought. This convergence of studies, from myopia prevention through classroom design to advanced heat transfer technologies and the foundations of speech, offers a glimpse into the multifaceted nature of contemporary scientific research. As we look to the future, these insights may inspire further innovations in education, engineering, and our understanding of communication, ultimately shaping healthier and more sustainable societies. The ongoing dialogue between these diverse fields underscores the potential for interdisciplinary approaches to address some of the most pressing challenges facing humanity today.